is going to be a story time, a retelling of my first time ever passing out or fainting, whichever you prefer. I suppose it doesn't matter all that much. Now, this is a pretty embarrassing story, to say the least. It was a very, very long time ago, so it doesn't matter all that much. I laugh at it now, but at the time, this was a devastating blow to my social life. It was not good at all. But that's okay, because now I can tell you all about it. Now, there is a little bit of backstory that's, required for this. I promise you, it's all relevant, and I'm not gonna fall off track completely and lose my train of thought. I'll get to the point, I swear. With rambles I won't, but with stories, I'm pretty alright at that. So, I suppose I'll get started then. So, this story takes place when I was in the 7th grade. The 7th grade. Particularly in my math class. But we'll get to that. So, when I was in 7th grade, unfortunately, I had a whole bunch of personal issues at home and outside of school. I won't get into all that because that's not nearly as fun of a story as this, but it very much impacted my school work. In all honesty, I almost flunked out of middle school. I didn't in the end. I graduated high school and even did a little bit of college, but I almost completely failed out of middle school. Early on, too. I almost failed out in the 6th grade, which, where I'm at, is the very first year of middle school. So, I hardly made it. Very, very hardly made it. I had terrible grades. It wasn't, for lack of trying, necessarily. I wasn't one of those kids that were like a nuisance to the teacher or the class. I wasn't being a disturbance or anything. I just had a lot on my mind at the time. And so schoolwork and homework were really bottom of the barrel as far as list of tasks went. I really couldn't have cared less about them at the time. So my grades were all failing. Obviously, by the end of the year, or the semesters, I had fixed them to C's and D's. So enough to pass, but I was no star student. So I was kind of doing whatever I could to get by. Now, I've always been better with English classes, literature, is what I was good at, reading and writing essays. Not so much math and science. History, I was okay at. But once math started adding, letters and all that crazy stuff, I wasn't very good at it after that. I got a little lost, Science, I wasn't bad at some of it. Chemistry, I'm no good at. But things like anatomy, I'm pretty decent at. But it wasn't really my strong suit. So those were my worst classes. But math was the absolute worst of the worst. I had, I think at one point, like a 20% or something like that. It was bad. And I had so many missing assignments, so I was drowning in all this work. And it was looking bad. Really bad. Sorry. My voice is giving out. I'm going to have to whisper the rest of this video. It appears my voice is tired. I apologize. So, I was drowning in all of this work, and it wasn't looking very good for me. But I had this buddy. He was my best friend at the time. His name was Zico. so many